Okay, this is great, man. Really? You know, one of the better videos that I think we made earlier in this month related to the Detroit Red Wings, and it was talking about one of their top prospects that could be available as an option to them very, very soon. Well, this video is following up in that same vein because instead of talking about top prospects taken out of the 2023 NHL Entry Draft, we're going to be focusing on guys taken in the 2024 draft from 1 year ago. Yeah, that's right, folks. Last time we had spoken about Axel Sandin Pellikka and the situation as to his contract status with the Detroit Red Wings. We're sticking around in Skellefteå AIK, though, because there is another prospect in that system that could be heading over to North America sooner rather than later. This show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there, check out that first link in the description to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. Yeah, that's right, you're not having any deja vu there. I did use the same thumbnail for this video as we did in the last video, just because I thought it was funny to use the same tagline and everything. It was kind of, humorous, I found, to cut and paste some of the same information. But today we are talking about Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, one of the guys who has probably the best names out of the 2024 NHL Entry Draft, and his Elite Prospects page is verified. Hence the bursting gradient orange outline on his picture. Michael Brandsegg-Nygard was the 15th overall pick by the Detroit Red Wings in the most recent NHL draft. 19 years old, 6'1", 207, a right-handed winger, who was always touted as more of a two-way capable, play-driving forward option. It's kind of interesting because I think with the draft selection of Marco Kasper a few years ago, followed up by Nate Danielson the next season, and then Brandsegg-Nygard the year after that, you saw the Red Wings take what is essentially the same profile 3 years in a row. Now, there's obviously nuance there. Kasper and Danielson are centers. I'd say that Danielson has a bit better hands, and Brandsegg-Nygard is more of a winger force than somebody who plays and excels down the middle. But there are similar two-way qualities between all three of these guys that kind of raised some red flags for Wings fans over the past few years. Especially last year in the summer, I'd seen a lot of conversation saying, hey, why did the Wings get the same guy 3 years in a row? This is not capitalizing on the ceilings that some of the players have in these drafts because the Wings sacrificed long-term, high-ceiling projectability in terms of more stable, higher floor type players, and that's an entire other philosophical debate. But ultimately, Michael Brandsegg-Nygard is one of the top prospects the Wings have in their system. He's playing for Skellefteå this season alongside of Axel Sandin Pellikka. Unfortunately for Brandsegg-Nygard, though, he definitely did not produce as much as Axel Sandin Pellikka did. Last year, when he was draft eligible, Brandsegg-Nygard had 18 points in 41 Allsvenskan games and 10 points in 12 qualification games. He also was a point per game for Team Norway at the World Juniors. This year, he bumped up his point production to 11 points in 42 SHL games and has 1 game played at the time of recording this audio. He also played for Team Norway at the Olympic Game qualifiers, getting 2 goals in 3 games, and played for the World Junior team in the Division 1A part of the tournament. He wasn't part of the normal World Juniors, he was in the section underneath that because Norway wasn't great last time they were at the big stage. But anyways, this is the tweet from Rasmus Kogstrom that we care about. It was posted a few days ago on Friday. Just nu spelar Michael Brandsegg-Nygard SM slutspel med Skellefteå AIK. Okay, that doesn't really mean anything. Let's read this tweet from Red Wings prospects in English. Michael Brandsegg-Nygard is currently playing in the Swedish Championship Playoffs with Skellefteå AIK. After that, the 19-year-old's plan is to finish off the season in North America. The talent's agent confirms to Fork Bladet. This is a direct confirmation as to the plan for Michael Brandsegg-Nygard after this tournament concludes directly from the agent himself. It was really great to hear the same thing be mentioned for Axel Sandin Pellikka, because I think For a guy who broke the record for most goals by a junior D-man in the SHL, there's a lot of hype there. Especially with what he had done at the World Juniors and how dominant ASP has been. He has literally been one of the best prospects the Wings have had the pleasure of watching in their system the past few years. But Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, even though he's not scoring the same flashy point production like ASP is on the same team, MSB, of course, is younger and he plays forward, and there are more forwards that play compared to D-men, so obviously he wouldn't be utilized as much. But ultimately, if we assume the same thing is happening with Axel Sandin-Pellikka, who, by the way, is also signed by the Detroit Red Wings, once Skellefteå AIK loses in the playoffs, assuming they lose, assuming they don't go out there and win the whole gosh darn thing, we can see a really big shot of adrenaline for both the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Detroit Red Wings. ASP could very well make the Red Wings team. At the very least, give him a cup of coffee, right? See what he can do instead of Hall or a Petrie. But Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, assuming he's not fully making the jump just yet, which I think is like not impossible, to be honest. He was fine for Detroit in the preseason when he did suit up there, but ultimately him getting more exposure to the pro game in Sweden ultimately sets him up on a nice stepping stone before becoming a full-time NHL guy. I know a lot of folks were really impressed with him during the preseason this year, but I think it was one of these situations where you watch him and you're like, yeah, that's a guy that could maybe use an extra few years developing. You don't need to rush this kind of a guy. You don't want to risk ruining his development here by bringing him over too early. And then at the same time, it's like you don't want to have him marinating in the AHL for too long, like some of the other prospects the Wings have had over the past few years here. But ultimately, this is a good sign, right? Michael Brandsegg-Nygard's only 19 years old, and he has exhibited some good progression this season. Let's head over to a comment made by Dillypucks on the Red Wings subreddit talking about Michael Brandsegg-Nygard. I've watched him a bit this year, and his numbers, the point production, they don't really tell the full story. He's been playing with a lot more bite than I expected. I really think he would have benefited from starting the season in Grand Rapids under Watson. The way Watson and guys like Shine play the game could have helped him develop that edge even more, and I think he would have been put in better situations to succeed. Skellefteå is a solid team, but I don't think he's been utilized as well as he could have been. And there's some other discussion here. I agree. He's the one that didn't want to play in the AHL and left though, right? And then Dillypucks replies saying, yeah, he wanted to be in Europe to quote-unquote compete for a championship. So I guess there was some extra motivation for him to head over back to Europe and try to get things done, settle the score in the Swedish Hockey League. But if he doesn't end up winning the championship, then hey, head over to North America and see what you can do with the Grand Rapids Griffins, because they're in a pretty good spot for the playoffs right now. I don't know if anybody has been paying attention, but yeah, Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, please keep your eyes up, because championship caliber hockey could very much be awaiting you in Grand Rapids. And look, best case scenario, if Axel Sandin-Pellikka, if the Wings deem that he's not ready to make the NHL just yet, which, just for the record, I think would be kind of ridiculous to not give him a chance. If you have ASP in the AHL too, imagine adding 2 top prospects in the span of like a day for the AHL team in Grand Rapids that's already been really good this season. Just saying, things are looking really good with these 2 guys and their run in Skellefteå AIK. Of course, though, I'm not going to cheer for Skellefteå to lose. That'd be like the worst thing in the world possible that you can do there. Just see what happens. If they win, then fantastic. If they lose, then the plane tickets are going to be booked, folks. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about how Detroit could be grabbing themselves yet another top prospect heading over onto their system, either in the AHL or, if he impresses well enough, the NHL, and what this means for their overall development. I would not be opposed, honestly, to trying MSB out for at least one NHL game before the season's over, just so he knows what the pace is like compared to the NHL preseason he had participated in back in October. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Michael Brandsegg-Nygard and this update from his agent. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.